Hi everybody, Rochelle here from Quebec CICHLIDS. Today I have come to the realization that I have lost control over my cichlid hatchery, especially the little baby tanks here. I'm going crazy. So stay tuned as I try to regain control over the chaos that has become of my life. Many months back, I made a video showing you all of my baby tanks, and they were perfect at the time. I mean, they were all full. They were packed with babies everywhere, and everything was going great. And over the months, one thing would break, something would leak. And you know, I usually say, that's just one thing, let's let it go. And during that time also, we had a lot of problems with our lights. So we couldn't see anything in the cichlid hatchery. You know, when it's dark and you just sort of like let things go, sort of don't see it, out of sight, out of mind. Well, that's what happened here. And now I have to deal with it because it's getting bad. There is a weird smell that you are lucky that you cannot capture smell on video. And even if we did, I wouldn't do that to you, you poor things. I think I figured out where the smell is coming from. I really hope that's it, because if not, it's going to be complicated again. But I'm pretty sure that has to be it. So here's what happened. Over the past months, my aquariums have been leaking, my little ones. And it happened especially on the top row. And in the past week, I have 2 that leaked. So that's when it really sort of, with the lights, everything sort of triggered. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 aquariums that are empty. I mean, I have 5 aquariums on 9 in my row that are empty because they leaked. And on top of that, I really wanted to fix them, but my supplier wasn't able to get me some silicone, so I had to find other suppliers. It was super complicated, but I got my silicone finally. But you know what? It's actually not the 5 top aquariums that really triggered me. It is yesterday when I noticed this. What you are looking at is a disgusting piece of wood that was under the bottom row of my aquariums, and it is not the appropriate wood because yes, you can't use any wood when you're building racks. These are metal, but we put wood on top of them. It solidifies everything. But if you put crappy wood like this, well, it will rot, and I think that is the smell, because look at it, it's black. I did not buy black wood, it was brown, probably years ago. It is disgusting. There's some white, I don't even know what that is. That when I noticed the huge gap, I figured, well, it's time to act. And the irony of it all is that the aquariums that leaked are on top, and the ones that didn't leak are on the bottom. So what's up with that? I don't know. Actually, the wood you have to be using is called balcony wood. It's made for balconies. It's made to survive the outdoor weather. So it can survive the indoor weather as well. Not this crap. This crap doesn't survive anything. So once we've changed that, I'm also going to be redoing all the silicone in these 5 aquariums that are leaking. And you'll notice there's actually one, this one here, still has fish in it. It leaked and it's been overwhelming. So the sponge filter is just still under the water, so I left it there. Stop leaking now. On the other side though, everything's going well. For now, it's kind of dirty, but it's still doing good. I'm gonna, yep. So that's what happened. Now, what I'm gonna do today is fix everything. All right, so let's get started. So first things first, I have to build this shelf. So that's gonna be pretty easy, just chopping wood. And after that, we are going to empty the aquariums up to the 1/4 mark and leave the fish in there. I'm not gonna save too much water. It'll just be a big water change for my babies. So once I've changed the rack, at least the bottom will be done. So I checked the level and the aquariums are not leveled, so that is why they were leaking. So we're gonna have to take all the aquariums down and level this rack. After that, we're gonna have to fix everything up. So build a new shelf and redo the silicone on these aquariums that have leaked. 5 aquariums. I don't know how I let it get to this point, but yeah, 5 aquariums that have leaked and that have just been sitting there. So let's get started. I'm cutting the long panel with a jigsaw. Lucky for me, I only have one cut to make. It fits perfectly on the length. There has to be something that's going well. I usually would solidify it with 2x4s underneath. I usually do this when the width of the shelf is larger than the aquariums I'm putting on it. Since the aquariums will fit flush with the rack, I won't be solidifying it. First of all, we have to fix the situation with the fish who are in an aquarium that is half empty. Yeah, it's half empty at this point. One half is in the aquarium, the other is on the floor. The fish are doing fine and the sponge filter is submerged. So that's why I didn't really act fast. Lucky for us, there is one aquarium that was not leaking that didn't have any fish in it. So I am emptying out. I'll just transfer the fish and their water into that aquarium before taking any other actions for the other tanks. I know I said I didn't want to fish any fish, but, well, we'll make an exception for these little guys, my Pundamilia Nayari Ruti Islands. I will not be keeping any water, it's too complicated. I'm throwing the extra water in the drain and I'm only keeping about 20 to 25% of the total volume. This way I don't have to take the fish out. It will be like a huge water change for them. If ever some tanks had a lot of nitrate, well, they won't anymore. I prepare all of my water in advance to room temperature. Since I heat the room at about 26 to 27 degrees Celsius, which is the ideal temperature for African cichlids, I don't need to heat the water any more than room temp. If I use the water directly from the tap, it would cost me hundreds of dollars more a month. I would be out of business fast. This is the pump I'm using. I usually have a sponge at the end, but I couldn't find it today. So this is how it is. I'm keeping an eye on the small ones. They don't have good survival instincts. The bigger ones hide, which is the smart thing to do. Now for the bottom row. The tanks are lower and a lot easier to carry. They're so easy, just look at me multitasking with the phone. I opted to keep my sponge filters wet in a bucket of water. The ones on top will be functional and the ones on bottom won't. To avoid any ammonia spikes afterwards, I'll be adding some Sechem Prime in the tanks later on. Each aquarium weighs about 25 pounds. After doing this, I was so sore the next day. Who needs CrossFit when you have a chaotic fish store? Would you look at this disgusting thing? I was honestly expecting worse. There are tanks everywhere. They are stacked up on tables, on my buggies. They're just everywhere. I was trying to fix the chaos in my life, but just created more. I'm really not comfortable in this. At least the fish are safe. I just have to keep reminding myself that it's gonna be worth it. I think I was getting tired at this point. Nothing broke at least. Here you see me solo putting the shims under the racking. It's heavy as f. The shims are to level the rack so that my aquariums will never leak ever again. I am so jinxing this. Look at this beautiful shelf. Now let's get the fish back in their homes. Let's get started. We have a lot of work to do. Well, I do. You guys just watch me. Oh my god, it's so hard to keep track of the water in the small tanks. I overfilled 3 of them. The water is coming from my water preparation contraption. I made a whole video about it recently showing how it's made. The link is in the video description if ever you're curious. The sponge filters are all connected to the same gigantic air pump. I drilled these plastic connectors to the metal rack. It gives a cleaner look, and it's so easy to manage.
So for every tank, I'm putting back the sponge filter that I have saved earlier in the buckets filled with water. Since there are fish in them, I had to be very careful about beneficial bacteria and conserving it. There are unfortunately a lot less to do in the upper shelf. Before applying the new silicone to the tanks, I carefully removed all the previous one with the scraper. You have to be delicate with small tanks, because in comparison to the big ones, there is no silicone in between the glass. So don't press too hard or else the glass may crack. I didn't film the whole thing because, well, my camera died. Here I'm using black silicone. Before, it used to be transparent silicone that the manufacturer had put. This will help me keep track of the ones I fix. I would have gotten a way nicer finish if I had put painter's tape to limit the silicone smudge, as I did in a previous episode of Fish Store Extreme Makeover. In this episode, I could not be bothered. For my baby tanks, honestly, I don't mind the look that much. Because the tanks are so small, the fumes get really concentrated and surprise me every time I would put my head in there. It smells strong. Sometimes you see me reapplying silicone streaks. It's when I find I didn't put enough or I don't see it very well and don't want to put my head in the aquarium to find out. So here's the finished look. Some tanks look better than others. I will remove the black smears on the side once it's dry, if I think of it. It's not my best silicone job, but if it holds, it's alright. When I do the ones in the store that people will see, or if I'm doing some for a client, I put a lot more emphasis on the final look. But as I said, in this case, I just couldn't be bothered. Now let's set them in place and forget about the smears. Now we wait at least 24 hours, maybe even more, before putting the new water in. The substrate I'm using is surprisingly dirty. I was not expecting that. The cloudy water will go down eventually. If you're suffering with cloudy water, I actually made a whole video about it. So one of the reasons was dirty substrate, and the answer was, well, just to wait it out. And that's what I'm gonna do for these. 2 of the filters for these aquariums were already running on other aquariums. So that means that the tanks will be pretty much automatically cycled. I'll be able to put some fish in very soon, which is a good thing because I have some that are getting way too small for their isolation tanks. As for the 3 other filters, well, they're new out of the box. Eventually, I'm going to squeeze some bacteria from the running filters in one of these tanks to give a little bacteria boost.
I did it! Or so it seems. Actually, I jinxed it earlier. And well, all in all, I was able to fix this row of aquariums that had been driving me crazy for a while. But in the meantime, well, one of my other tanks, you know, the ones that I said are doing really well, well, this one here decided to leak. So I put a little mark on it to see if it had stopped leaking like the other one that I fixed on the other side did. And yeah, apparently it's still leaking, and the tank under it, my yellow labs they got a big water change. So I'm gonna have to fix that. And also, well, just to make matters worse, in one of my aquarium systems in front, one of those that I didn't modify yet, the pump broke. Many people often ask me why I over-filter those aquariums if they have a pool filter as main filtration. Well, that's why. Because sometimes everything breaks down and your world revolves into a never-ending chaos. That's exactly what I tell people. So it's beautiful, I love it, but I don't know up to what point we can say this has been a win or is it a fail. I'll call it a win, a little win, a very tiny win. So that's it for today. I hope you liked this video. If you did, there is plenty more where that came from. Subscribe to the channel because I'm clearly not done getting my life on track. So follow me not to miss a single episode. If you want more fishy stuff, you can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, on Twitter, and I have a great website, where you can shop online and see all the fish I have for sale. I ship throughout Canada. Also, if you like this fabulous Cichlid Geek t-shirt that I am wearing, well, you can get it on my Teespring store. Every little sale helps towards my project and to whatever just happened today, that's what Cichlid Geek is for. So thank you again to everybody who has purchased and who encouraged me by shopping on my website. So thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you next week. There are plenty more adventures to come. Bye-bye.